Everyone, this is Ken, and my topic is on food hall concepts. And to give a general idea what this is, it's a place for startups and new businesses, and it also contains many new food concepts. Here is the agenda and what we're going to be going over. So we're mainly going to be talking about what is a food hall, the difference between it and a food court, the sustainability and freshness in food halls, two food guys, how do you start up in a food hall, and also the process if you want to work in one. So what is a food hall? A food hall is a place where there's specialized and creative restaurant concepts. They're basically a mini restaurant with live entertainment around it, and it's very aesthetically pleasing. Uh, these food halls have dated back to Europe into 1870s, but within the past 30 years, it got more popular in the US. And we can see here I have two examples of like these specialized concepts where we have a pandan, coffee, and a chicken kimchi butter katsu at the bottom right. And if some people get confused on the difference between a food hall and a food court, a food hall has basically, I think, better food, and usually it's not fast food. Food court is there to have people stay, and usually in a mall where they just get something quick to eat. And because of that, it's probably cheaper, but in a food hall, it's like a mini restaurant once again. So the prices of the stuff are just a little bit more expensive, but they're very unique and it tastes very good. And because there are many restaurants, they have to have fresh produce and they want to be sustainable, meaning they don't want to have any waste and they want to recycle a lot of what they're using. So here's like just some fun facts where I'm saying food halls have like a rooftop garden or they partner with like farms to get really fresh produce and that way they can serve food that tastes really good. In a way, this promotes the food quality in our era and it creates people to make things that taste good and fresh and it's not fast food. And here's like an example called Rodeo 39. It's a food hall in Orange County and as you can see from these pictures, there's many type of food and there's also like a butcher shop there. We can see like some onigiri right there with sesame seeds, seaweed, and some type of egg, which is not very traditional. And once again, it's a fusion. And then we have the chicken kimchi butter underneath it, some tacos with feta cheese, sour cream, pickled onions, and we have pho next to it, and an empanada with egg rolls and lettuce. These are some of the stuff that just exists there. And usually, as you can see in the top right, that's a photo that's a photo of Rodeo 39, and it's pretty nice looking, and it's always usually packed. They sell food there that is quite tasty, but it's like 13 to $15 for a bowl of food. And then here we have a second example. This is the Blossom Market Hall. This one here is in St. Gabriel, where it sells very Asian orientated items. And there's a bit of mix of Jamaican and Mexican food. And this place here I'm more familiar with since I'm from there. And there's sushi at the bottom, which is just like the kind of like the general staple of food. And then next to it is a breakfast bacon egg sandwich where they kind of make it a little different by putting a fried onion ring in it. And the two things next to that on the bottom right is Jamaican food, where we have oxtail and Jamaican chicken, Jamaican jerk chicken. And then on top, we have Korean short ribs, soup dumplings, and tacos next to it. So it's like a lot of fusion and comfort food in this area, which is kind of unique in its own way. Usually, food halls have more unique tasting food, but in this area, it's a lot more comforty and the food is relatively at a high price, but I think rent there is probably really expensive. And we're gonna get more into that very soon. So how does one start up in a food hall and being a vendor? So first, it costs a lot of money and you need to plan and trial a lot, and you need a food vendor's license. The food vendor license is something you need where you have to have your kitchen area. It's a must to have a kitchen area, a designated place for you to make food, and it has to be health inspected, meaning the Californian health department has to come over and check out if it's if it's good enough where it's clean and can be used to make food safely. And it costs around $2,000 to $8,000 of rent a month. That's what makes the prices of food really high and volatile, depending on how much rent is. And from what I found online, it's around 2 to 8,000 a month, depending on how busy the location is, which makes which makes being a vendor very competitive, very competitive. You have to sell well or you won't make it out. That's why when you see pop-up shops, they're usually pretty good in a food hall because they have to be good. If they're not, they just lose out. And if you still want to proceed in working in a food hall, there's a lot of ways to make sure that you're working well and hard. And it first depends on the operating method you want to choose to work at, where it's either a multi-vendor food hall or true tenant operation. The difference between these two are is the first option is just the normal food and my bad, just the normal food vendor where you sell food from your own from your own shop and you get to choose what you want to sell. A true tenant operation is you're basically working under another restaurant, but you kind of like own part of it. It's like opening up a Fika Fika in a food hall and you sell the products, which that makes it very manageable for the menu because when you're starting off, you don't know what type of menu is manageable. And usually when you start up like companies or you're trying to work under like Fika Fika, you can sell their items and use their same exact menu and it should be manageable because they open many shops and it functions. And then the next option is installing a restaurant point of sale system where you kind of have like that tablet on there, the screen you're looking at right now, that is used to keep track of sales and it helps with online orders. Uh, According to our citation underneath, it's really important to have one of these to understand the data behind your sales and to use it for faster and best-selling online orders. That way you can keep track of two things at once without hassle. And after, having online orders is very important to increase your traction and like basically your advertisement as well through Grubhub and DoorDash. So you have more people to come and buy your stuff. It's also like really important to address making your menu like accessible where you want to have it readily available for guests to come. Everything is about attracting customers, and because of that, you should choose who you're targeting and what your brand identity is. I kind of put these as bullet points to summarize the stuff, but the citations at the end if you want to click on it and learn more. The brand is very important depending if you want a standard brand, a new twist brand, or a fast food brand. So the difference between these three are pretty like attached to their names, like a standard stop, or just selling bagels, pizza, hamburgers, or you have like a new twist where you're creating like new vegan foods, fusions, new drinks, like a Malona milk tea, and a fast food is just like your typical fast food, like In-N-Out, Wendy's, Arby's. Yeah. And then for your designating targets, you should be targeting a certain group of people based on what you're trying to sell. So if your area is majority of like Asians or Caucasians or Mexicans, you should probably target those audience or choose a different location where you can sell food that targets who you want. That's very important to address since if it's not like a melting pot food hall where there's many type of food people can choose, it's very hard to sell something that people have never tried. And just, I mean, you think about it, a lot of people don't want to try new things that are completely out of their comfort zone, or they might try it once and have a bad rep of it and never try it again. But yeah, those are just some of the 6 points that are very important to address. And yeah, that's basically it for food halls. Thanks for listening. To sum up, food halls are a popular dining option that offer a diverse amount of cuisine and dining experiences, very aesthetically pleasing. It increases the quality and standard of food, and if you haven't already been to one, you should visit your local and popular food hall and give it a try, see the quality, see the environment, and thank you guys for listening.